$63,000. That's not a down payment, that's the entire house. And we're not talking about a teardown or a foreclosure special. We're talking about a livable, move-in ready home in Texas where your property taxes get slashed the moment you turn 65 and the state never touches a dime of your Social Security or pension. Here's what nobody tells you. The cheapest retirement towns in America come with a catch, and it's not the one you think. It's not about safety. Some of these border towns have lower crime rates than the suburbs you're living in right now. It's not about quality of life. You can find senior centers, trauma hospitals, and golf courses at these prices. The real catch is medical access and whether you're willing to drive an hour for a cardiologist appointment. This video breaks down 20 Texas towns where you can buy a house for less than most people's emergency fund, and more importantly, it shows you exactly which ones solve the healthcare problem and which ones don't. We're organizing these into 3 clusters based on what you're actually trading for that low price. By the end, you'll know exactly which Texas town matches your health status, your budget, and your tolerance for small town life. Memphis. Memphis, Texas holds the record. $63,332 for the median home, that's the floor. The research shows zero change in home prices between 2024 and 2025, which means if you're on a fixed income and you need absolute predictability, this is it. You're not betting on appreciation, you're buying housing security for the cost of what people in California spend on a used car. Memphis sits in the Texas Panhandle, Hall County, and the population density is basically non-existent. You get peace, quiet, and wide open spaces. The trade-off is isolation. You're looking at long drives for anything beyond basic necessities. Specialty medical care? That's a trip to Lubbock or Amarillo, 60 minutes minimum. But if your health is stable and your priority is stretching every dollar as far as it goes, Memphis delivers maximum budget security. The housing market here doesn't fluctuate, it just sits there, stable and predictable year after year. Paducah. Paducah comes in 4th cheapest statewide at $67,158. Zero year-over-year price change here too. Housing expenditure is 78% cheaper than the national average, which sounds perfect until you look at the local cost of living. Paducah's overall expenses run 37% higher than the Texas state average. This is what the research calls the rural isolation tax. You save massively on the house, then pay it back in transportation and utilities. You're driving to bigger towns for groceries, for specialty services, for anything that's not sold at the one local store. Gas adds up. Time adds up. If you're the type who plans bulk shopping trips and doesn't mind the logistics, Paducah works. If you need convenience, it doesn't. The savings on your mortgage are real, but the hidden costs of living this far from everything else mean you need to budget carefully for the increased transportation expenses that come with extreme rural living. Shamrock. Shamrock costs $67,292 and it solves the biggest problem in this ultra-low price range: emergency medical care. Shamrock has a level 4 trauma center hospital on site. That means 24/7 emergency room, radiology, physical therapy, and swing bed programs for recovery. If something goes wrong at 2 a.m., you're not waiting for an ambulance to drive you an hour away. The town sits right off I-40, so access to regional hubs is straightforward. You still need to travel for specialist care, but the emergency stabilization capability is right there. For retirees who want rock-bottom housing costs but refuse to gamble on acute medical events, Shamrock is the answer. This is the kind of infrastructure that makes the difference between a viable retirement location and a risky gamble. You're getting emergency coverage at a price point where most towns can't offer it. ROTAN. ROTAN, West Texas. $68,493, another town with zero price change year over year. This is the pattern across these ultra-low markets. Prices don't move, which investors hate but retirees should love. No surprises, no market volatility. You know what your housing costs next year and the year after that. ROTAN requires the same commitment as Memphis and Paducah. You're relying on Abilene or Lubbock for specialty doctors. It's a quiet, low-traffic lifestyle where you have to be comfortable with routine travel to access medical infrastructure. If that fits your health profile, the price stability is a massive advantage. The consistency matters more than growth potential when you're living on a fixed income and can't afford sudden jumps in housing costs. Benavides. Benavides breaks the geographic pattern, $71,635, but this one's in South Texas, Duval County, not the Panhandle. The pricing reflects the same stable, predictable market conditions, but the lifestyle is different. South Texas culture, warmer winters, and something the research highlights repeatedly: exceptionally low violent crime rates. Border communities near Benavides consistently show murder and violent crime rates significantly below national and major metro averages. If safety is a deciding factor, South Texas delivers. You're not sacrificing security for affordability here, you're getting both. The stereotype about border towns being dangerous doesn't match the actual data. These communities rank among the safest in the country, which should matter to anyone evaluating where they'll spend the next 20 to 30 years. Rule. This is another ultra-quiet, low-population town where the appeal is simplicity and minimal traffic. You're living at a slow pace with virtually no urban density. The catch is the same as the others in this range. You're committing to routine travel for specialized needs. The research calls this the donut effect. Services gravitate to urban cores, leaving rural areas dependent on regional hubs. Rural is viable if you understand that up front and build it into your routine. The town offers a quality of life centered on peace and predictability, but you're trading convenience for that stability. ELECTRA. ELECTRA costs $77,999, and it's the standout in this cluster because of geography. ELECTRA sits near Wichita Falls, under 30 minutes away. You get the ultra-low home price, but you're not isolated. Wichita Falls has major hospitals, commercial amenities, and the full-service infrastructure of a regional hub. ELECTRA saw a small price increase of 3.27% between 2024 and 2025. Which suggests minor regional growth. But even with that bump, you're still getting maximum housing savings while retaining easy access to everything Wichita Falls offers. This is the best of both worlds option in the ultra-low cluster. You don't have to choose between affordability and accessibility here. You get both without compromise. CROWELL. This is the traditional tight-knit small Texas town where community support compensates for lack of commercial infrastructure. The research notes a small price appreciation of 0.47% heading into 2025, indicating stable market foundations. CROWELL doesn't have the trauma center advantage of SHAMROCK or the proximity advantage of ELECTRA. What it has is community atmosphere and mutual support networks. If you value that, if you want neighbors who know your name and a place where people look out for each other, CROWELL delivers it at an unbeatable price. The social infrastructure here replaces what you'd normally get from commercial services. FLOYDADA. The town has a dedicated senior center hosting daily activities, health workshops, and social events designed to promote engagement and wellness. More importantly, FLOYDADA has assisted living options like beehive homes, providing essential care services within the community. This is rare at this price point. Most towns under $80,000 have no senior infrastructure. FLOYDADA made deliberate efforts to cater to its elderly population, which makes it one of the most senior-focused towns in the lowest price bracket. You're not just buying a cheap house, you're buying into a community that actually planned for retirees. SEYMOUR. SEYMOUR bumps up to $89,000, and the price increase is justified by infrastructure. SEYMOUR Hospital is a 25-bed, not-for-profit acute care hospital designated as a Level 4 trauma center. For retirees managing chronic health concerns, having immediate local emergency stabilization capability is worth the extra cost. The town also offers outdoor amenities like the Salt Fork Recreational Complex for golf and local parks. SEYMOUR sits at the top end of the ultra-low cluster, but it solves the emergency medical access problem that defines the entire group. The slightly higher price buys you the peace of mind that comes with knowing emergency care is minutes away, not an hour. WOODVILLE. Woodville jumps to $175,900 and the price reflects better infrastructure and regional access. East Texas, Tyler County, population around 2,500. You get scenic surroundings, the Heritage Village Museum, and access to large natural parks. The cost of living here is the story. Woodville's overall expenses run 73% higher than the Texas state average, driven by high local housing, transportation, and food costs. You're dependent on local merchants with limited competition. The price premium over Cluster A is real, but so is the reduction in daily logistical stress. You're paying for convenience and a more balanced lifestyle compared to the extreme isolation of the Panhandle towns. Baytown. Baytown, $199,000, and this is where proximity to a major metro becomes the value proposition. Baytown is a Gulf Coast suburb with direct access to Houston. Cost of living sits 15% below the national average, and you're minutes away from Houston's Tier 1 medical centers and specialists. For retirees who need frequent access to advanced healthcare, Baytown resolves every logistical concern associated with the Panhandle towns. The slightly higher home price is an investment in convenience and guaranteed access to the highest level of medical infrastructure in the state. You're also getting the Gulf Coast lifestyle, coastal access, warmer humidity, and a different pace of life compared to West Texas. Palestine. Palestine, Anderson County offers numerous housing options below $200,000. This is an East Texas community with strong historical appeal and access to the resources of a large county seat. You're not fully isolated from commercial services, and the proximity to natural attractions gives it distinct charm. Palestine balances affordability with the infrastructure of a larger county hub, making it viable for retirees who want a slower pace without complete isolation from regional amenities. The historical character adds appeal beyond just the numbers, giving you a sense of place that smaller towns can't always provide. Rio Grande Valley. The Rio Grande Valley region, specifically Harlingen and Weslaco, has established budget-friendly 55-plus communities like Siesta Retirement Village and Sunshine Country Club Estates. Homes under $200,000 with community infrastructure specifically tailored for seniors. FBI data shows that RGV communities like Rio Grande City and Laredo have exceptionally low murder and violent crime rates, ranking among the safest communities in the country. You're getting purpose-built senior living, robust community amenities, and verified safety at a price point that's still well below the national average. These aren't generic developments. They're communities designed from the ground up for retirement living with the social infrastructure already in place. Brownsville. Brownsville costs $215,000 and offers a relaxed South Texas lifestyle specifically recommended for retirees. Cost of living is approximately 12% below the national average. You get quiet neighborhoods, proximity to Gulf Coast activities, and the same verified safety benefits that define the broader South Texas border region. Brownsville blends affordability with accessibility and a strong community feel, making it highly appealing for seniors who prioritize both cost and lifestyle quality. The city maintains that small-town atmosphere despite being large enough to support full commercial infrastructure and healthcare services. Wichita Falls. Wichita Falls, $199,900, is recognized as the cheapest major city in Texas for purchasing a house. This is the best overall cost-to-amenity ratio among regional hubs. You get major hospitals, commercial amenities, and a dense service industry without the price tag of Austin or Dallas. For retirees who need big city infrastructure but refuse to pay big city prices, Wichita Falls is the answer. Housing stays just under the $200,000 mark while delivering everything a regional center provides. You're not compromising on access to services, you're just paying a fraction of what those services would cost in the larger metros. San Angelo. San Angelo, $206,000, is explicitly recommended for retirees. The town is praised for its relaxed lifestyle, quiet neighborhoods, and dedicated access to golf courses. As a regional services hub in West Texas, it provides the essential amenities and infrastructure necessary for comfortable, predictable retirement living. San Angelo strikes the balance between cost and lifestyle quality, making it viable for retirees who want more than just low prices. They want an actual retirement destination. The community has deliberately cultivated a retirement-friendly atmosphere with the recreational and social infrastructure that makes daily life enjoyable, not just affordable. Amarillo. Amarillo, $220,000, serves as the vital economic and logistical anchor for the entire Texas Panhandle. Cost of living index is favorable, and the primary function for retirees is critical. Amarillo acts as the mandatory medical hub for all the ultra-low-cost towns in Cluster A. If you live in Memphis or Paducah, Amarillo is where you're driving for specialty care and complex procedures. Choosing to live in Amarillo itself eliminates that mandated travel. You're paying more upfront, but you're buying immediate access to the highest level of care in the region. The city functions as the safety net for everyone in the surrounding rural communities, which means the medical infrastructure here is robust and comprehensive. KILLEEN. KILLEEN, $225,000, located in Central Texas. This offers significantly lower cost of entry than nearby Austin or San Antonio while maintaining excellent access to Central Texas transportation links and amenities. The presence of Fort Cavazos, formerly Fort Hood, ensures standardized service quality and stable infrastructure. KILLEEN's housing value is supported by the military installation, which means you're getting reliable infrastructure and predictable service quality at a fraction of what you'd pay in the major metros nearby. The military presence stabilizes the local economy and ensures consistent standards across healthcare, retail, and municipal services. Lubbock. Lubbock, $235,000, and this is arguably the single most important city for retirees considering West Texas and the Panhandle. Lubbock functions as the critical counterpoint to the donut effect, the process where rural hospitals lose physicians and specialty services to larger urban medical centers. Retirees in small neighboring communities often rely on Lubbock's hospitals, driving 30 to 60 minutes multiple times a week for necessary specialty care. Choosing to live in Lubbock itself eliminates that mandated travel. You're paying the highest price on this list, but you're buying peace of mind and immediate access to premier medical facilities. For retirees managing chronic conditions or anyone who knows they'll need regular specialist appointments, Lubbock removes the travel burden entirely while keeping housing costs well below what you'd pay in Dallas or Houston. The financial advantage of Texas isn't just the low home prices, it's the structural tax benefits that compound over 20 to 30 years of retirement. Zero state income tax means every dollar from your Social Security, pension, and IRA withdrawals stays in your pocket. The over 65 property tax exemption neutralizes the state's reputation for high property taxes, and the deferral option ensures you're never forced out of your home due to short-term budget constraints. The real decision isn't whether Texas makes sense, it's which cluster matches your health status. If you need frequent specialist care, Cluster C towns like Lubbock and Amarillo eliminate the travel burden entirely. If your health is stable and your priority is maximum savings, Cluster A towns with trauma centers, SHAMROCK and SEYMOUR, give you emergency coverage while preserving ultra-low housing costs. And if you want balanced infrastructure without the isolation, Cluster B options like BAYTOWN and the Rio Grande Valley 55+ communities split the difference. You're not just buying a house in Texas, you're building a retirement strategy where the tax advantages, housing stability, and healthcare access align with your specific needs. The question isn't whether you can afford to retire here. The question is, which of these 20 towns fits the life you're actually planning to live?